Digitising Europe Summit 2014 in Berlin, and with me is Linnar Viik, Estonian information scientist and specialist. And we would like to ask you, what can the rest of Europe learn from Estonia's digital initiatives?
My experience draws me to the conclusion that information technology by nature is a global. It's the same around the world. In all countries, in all applications, it looks the same, but the difference is always a local application of the technology. So it's not about the technology per se, but it's about social, cultural, regulatory, political, economic frameworks. The same small SMS payment or the same small issue around digital identity or paying your taxes is not an issue of technology, but it's an issue how your society is building up the perceptions about adopting the technology, and is the society driven towards a change and progress or stability and status quo. Maybe one thing which we can encourage others to do is to have clear local agenda with focus on action and fast end-user focus on all services, and that is giving you a good feedback and is making sure that your society understands that they are in the focus of the digital society-related innovations of the government, not that government is doing it for themselves.
Mm-hmm. So Estonia has been known as a very astonishing success story when it comes to digitalization. How do you think it can actually solve as a role model for the rest of Europe, given that it's a rather small country?
Country is a country is a country, and every country needs to fulfill the same functions. And it doesn't matter how big you are. The number of users is a minor issue. Computers like when you have more customers and more data to be processed. So Estonia, I would say, is too small to make a good, successful case for the great IT applications. We spend a lot and could use much more in terms of the user base on the systems. However, it clearly is about trust for the rest of the world and for the rest of the Europe, that can this also happen somewhere else? It's a well-known term, not invented here. If it's not invented here, it's not worth of trusting or trying. And this is the biggest challenge we have been working and fronting in many cases. We need to prove the things which accidentally we have been inventing can work also in other places. Right now, most of the committees, most of the discussion groups on European Union level include all the partners equally, and the voice can be heard. But honestly, we have in Estonia not been used to make things for the wider audience. All our initiatives have always been for the sake of the country and for the sake of society, and clearly it has never been done for the export case. Mm-hmm. So we need to learn also how to respond to the questions that can that be exported, can that be used also on a broader environment? We have not yet solved and found the answer to that question, but we are working on that.
But if you think at the European level, what from a scientific perspective, what policy changes would be needed at the European level?
It's a very difficult question, but I would give an example related also to the very recent Vodafone Institute research and study, where the young generation who is living in digital society lives in the digital society as a reality. And for them, the need for change in the policy level is a real need to help them with their modern lifestyle, and they need to find a way for better mobilization, for the better employment, for the better access to the services. And actually those are all things which are the big promises of Europe. Free movement of people, free movement of capital, free movement of services, freedom across the Europe. However, when I take a look to the existing policies, then I'm afraid that the post-crisis policies, not only in European capitals, but also in the European Commission or Parliament level, are not driving us towards a deeper collaboration, but in many cases they keep the fragmentation as a status quo. I think the biggest challenge, biggest political challenge, is digital fragmentation for the Europe. And it's not about the infrastructure. When we remember the history of Europe, well, one might say that railroad was the infrastructure that made Europe one. No, actually it was not the railroad, but it was people who were driving and goods which were transported on those railroads. So where it's too much focus on the infrastructure, it's too much focus on technology and too little focus on the real substance of breaking down the artificial barriers of different nation-state regulations around the Europe. More joint Europe, it's a focus and substantive focus, which I think is needed also for the political agenda.
And one thing that is often said is being key for the development of a digital Europe is young innovators. So what can be done to encourage young innovators in Europe?
There are a number of things which we can see great ideas made to reality around different universities where there are startup labs, entrepreneurial hubs. And I think that around the universities and opening up the universities, encouraging also existing and big companies to join, and technology companies, financial service companies, to join the innovation hubs around universities and opening their doors is the first key to support the young innovators, to create the environment. Creating environment is one thing, and most important thing. After that, the rest, I think, will follow if you have an entrepreneurial clusters of young innovators. What we have seen and witnessed in different universities which are doing that, for example, in Copenhagen, in London, in Stockholm, in Helsinki, in Tallinn, the seed capital will follow, the venture capital will follow, and also the real growth of those companies will start flourishing after that. But the starting point is very clearly related to the startup early stage environment, incubating environment, which is not university classroom, but which is near to the university and is having a different vibe compared to the university and compared to the kind of industrial parks.
And finally, if you had one wish free, what would that be to bring Europe up to speed in terms of digitalization?
Make 4G mobile internet access local all around Europe. What I mean? It's a very simple thing. Make 4G mobile internet accessible as a basic package all around Europe for €9. And if you want to have a great marketing, put 99 cents also into the end. But that would mean a basic unlimited package which you can use wherever you move in Europe. That is oxygen, and that is elementary oxygen for the digital society.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.